guys jumping on today. Mike Snowden from the University of Alabama. We got Coach Englehart from University of Colorado, Coach Chatman from Stanford University. Again, appreciate you guys. Let's get rolling.
Let's do it.
The first thing I asked you guys, just kind of give me a brief description of both you guys, kind of your path and what you've learned so far on your journey in strength and conditioning.
You want to go first?
Go ahead, Steve. You go ahead, Steve.
Okay. You letting the older guy go first? Okay.
Yeah. Get your vet rights.
So, got on the path. Let's see. Born in New Orleans, raised in Abita Springs, about 25 miles north of New Orleans. I got a twin brother. He's the head strength coach for the Washington Redskins. We got into this. We just always loved sports and always loved lifting. And I think when we found out like we could get paid for doing this, I think that's when, light bulb hit me in my head and said, let's do this. And it just took off. We had a good mentor in the name of Kurt Hester. He's now at Louisiana Tech. We actually worked for him at HS2 Athletic Performance. And from there, man, he helped us out along the way. And then I went to the University of Hawaii. And one of my, probably the best mentor I had is Tommy Heffernan. Probably one of the best strength coaches that a lot of people don't know. And he really gets it. From there, I went to Portland State as the head football strength coach. And then I went to SMU as the assistant director. And then came to the University of Colorado. And I'm not leaving. I love this place.
That's awesome.
Well, that's not easy to follow. But, yeah. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Kind of same to Steve. I played sports, really enjoyed it, loved to train. To be honest, I was working out with Gail Hatch down in Baton Rouge, and Coach Hatch was like, "Are you gonna be a strength coach?" And then from there, it just kind of took off. So I spent about 3 years with him, just kind of learning stuff and diving into that group, and kind of made some connections that way. And once I got into it, I feel like the coaching is addicting. Once you get a taste of it, if it's for you, you can't get enough of it. And that's one thing. I love it. Can't get enough of it.
That's awesome. Now, being out there in the Pac-12, both of you guys obviously have really good years. But can you kind of touch on, you made these stops coming into the field. Kind of what kind of the bigger pieces that you took from each spot, and kind of how that's helped you mold your programs at Stanford and Colorado?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll follow you this time. We'll go back and forth.
All right, cool. So, I mean, for me, Coach Hatch has been the foundation of everything I've done. It's crazy sometimes you think about it when you're younger. You don't appreciate the lessons that were taught because you were grinding. But he taught me the consistency and how to be a coach and what being a coach means, and attention to detail, how to do it the right way. He demanded it from me every single day, and I really grew from that. And then, I had several other stops, but I'll talk about a few places. After I went there, I went to Southern University. And one thing I got at Southern University, I learned how to use my voice. And, that's one thing I feel like young coaches get so caught up in, hey, X's and O's, but they don't have a voice and a presence. And if you have no presence and no voice, it doesn't really matter sometimes about the other things, even though you do need them both. And then, one thing that was really, really big for me is, going to Texas and then with Todd at Texas, Todd Wright, man. He opened up my eyes to movement and all that stuff. So now I have a guy who's taught me weightlifting and strength training and all those things. Now I got a guy who's really movement-based, and I'm learning that, and I'm going to combine those two systems. That's been great. And then Sanderson at Michigan has just been – he just did a lot of stuff, man. I mean, dude's a great networker. He gets the guys really strong. He's not afraid to train guys. He's a great businessman, a good person. So I just really learned a lot from those three guys. And I feel like over my career overall, just basketball guys, I'm probably a blend of those people and a lot of other people as well that I didn't mention. So hopefully, not that their contributions weren't significant. It's just, from an X and O standpoint, that's what I got.
Yeah, I messed up a lot along the ways. I'm not going to lie. When you first start out in this field and you have coaches come up to you and say, hey, I just want them to get big. Man, next day they can't play a sport because they so sore, right? And I think the biggest thing I learned was how to adapt to each coach. Because I had a lot of different coaches I had to listen to, and I think how to adapt and what the head coach wants, right? And how I have to explain it to the coach of what is probably most beneficial for each athlete. I think along the way, that's probably one of the starting out a young coach, you just like, okay, whatever, I'm going to take care of it, right? And next thing you know, they might have got bigger, but they lost flexibility. They lost hip flexibility. They can't move anymore. They can't turn, but they got bigger, right? And I think when you start talking to different coaches and especially sport coaches, you get to realize like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get them bigger. It might take some time, but it's the game of basketball. So this is what we have to do. We got to keep the hip flexibility up, shoulders, knees, hips, strong ankles. And I think it's the little bitty stuff that people just don't even think about when we're training basketball players. 100%.
Gotcha. Now Steve, I'm gonna start with you on this one, man. You've been in a spot for a while now, and Mike, you're coming in a place you've been in for a couple of years. Let's talk about buy-in and just kind of how you're getting buy-in from the student athletes, but also kind of how you go about getting that with the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, each place is different, but here at Colorado with Coach Boyle, I know his buy-in. Me and him kind of, we think alike on hard work, blue collar, get our hands dirty, not afraid to lift, not afraid to get after it. And I think that's the mindset we have to have. And I think when us and the assistant coaches and we all get together and we start talking about what each player needs, I think that's that's beneficial, because then the assistant coaches know, all right, Steve knows what we need from this particular player, right? As for athletes, man, listen, they won't buy in until they know you love them, straight up. I don't care what anybody tells me, okay? I seen strength coaches come in and not care less about athletes, and they couldn't get buy-in for years, like years. 1 or 2 years, they still couldn't get buy-in. You have to love your players. Not saying you got to be their best friend, but I like to say it as I'm the older brother, right? They call me big brother in here, and it's funny because I kind of act like they're big brothers. And I let them know when they do stuff wrong, let them know when they do stuff right. When they do stuff wrong, I try and educate them and try and help them out on what to do next. And if they do something right, man, shoot, I'm going to praise them. I'm going to let them know when I'm happy. I'm going to let them know when I'm disappointed. And I think when you can do that, and then the players know, like, man, this guy loves me, it's over. The buy-in's going to happen.
That's awesome.
I don't have much to add. I don't have much to add to that. I mean, that last piece, man. Like, people underestimate the power of that. If you ask me how to do it, it's one word: authenticity.
Yep.
They know that every day Mike's going to be this way. When I had a good day, a bad day, I'm going to be the same. My expectations don't change. The standard doesn't lower. It's consistency. And when you bring consistency, you can demand consistency. And so that's what it's about. And on top of that, sometimes the best way to create buy-in is to talk about things that have nothing to do with the weight room or basketball. How's home? How's mom? How's dad? How's little brother? Do you know that they have a mom, that who the little brother is? Like, those little bitty things that people overlook, those things create so much, because now you're invested in the person. And this is a people business. You can learn all the methodologies you want, but you can't touch people, you're going to struggle in this field big time.
Amen to that.
I was just telling somebody about that too, like, especially during this quarantine time. If you're the guy who just all you talk about with them is squats and deadlifts and sets and reps, man, like, they're not trying to hear that right now.
No, not answering that phone at all.
Yeah, you wonder why they don't answer the phone.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, I wonder why they're not answering my phone call. I know why.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off Mike, I mean, people always ask me, like you said, it's a people's business. And I've been calling up people. It don't matter what sport I was doing. On the way home, it's probably a 30-minute drive. Call up 3 different players a week, right? On the way home, just call them up. Hey, how y'all doing? What y'all doing today? Blah, blah, blah. And I think that means even if they don't answer, you leave a message, and deep down, they're like subconsciously like, man, this I think he cares, right? And then, when they get to meet you and get to know you a little more, but some of these guys that, they don't, some of our players, they're just like, hey, do I trust them? Do I trust them? And I think once the trust buys in, it's over, man. It's pretty special.
No, that's awesome. Mike, I'm gonna fire at you on this one, man, because you kind of just went through a situation similar to what I've done, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. So, you moved from like one area to another. You were out on the East Coast, now you're on the West Coast. How has your coaching style had to change, kind of based on, I would say like the personality of the athletes you have where you're at, or just over time? I know one of the things, for me personally, going from like DMV, going to Buffalo, even that was different. And then going from Buffalo to down south, you got to kind of change and not change who you are or anything like that. Because like we said, authenticity is important, but how you communicate with them, how you, work with the athlete, got to change a little bit in some regard. So what have you kind of found with that?
To be honest, man, I'm kind of an old dog with that stuff. I just stay the same, make them adapt to me.
Okay.
And this is why I say that they're gonna go one day and get a job somewhere, and their boss ain't gonna adapt to them. They got to adapt to them. And I want to give them real life experiences. And so, with that being said, look, this is how we do things. This is why we do them this way. If you have a question, please ask me. But this is the standard of how we're gonna do it. And understand everything I'm doing is for your best interest. And I'm trying to take care of you and move you the right direction. Now, when you do great, I'm going to love on you. When you do bad, I'm going to let you know about that. But it's always will come from a spot of authenticity. Always it comes from a spot of where you know what's expected of you. I'll never try to set up to fail. But I think different kids on different in different areas do respond a little bit differently. Like the kids out here are a smidge more sensitive than the kids I had in the DMV in the South. So sometimes, you have to be mindful of how you come at them, just in the way of, hey, I want you to do better, and realize that maybe they really aren't messing up because they're just being hard-headed. Maybe they truly don't understand. And so understanding to know when you need to turn off, when you need to turn on is a big deal. And so that's been something that for this group that I have right now, because kids at Stanford are achievers. You don't get to Stanford accidentally. You know what I mean? They are trying to do their best. And when they fail, it's hard for them. So I try to challenge them every day and teach them how to fail and move forward, because failing is part of the life process. And that's really important for me,
Steve, you got anything on that?
Oh, same question?
Yeah, you got anything? We can move on if you.
I think they're gonna adapt to me. Obviously, it's just each player is different. Each team's different, and I think you gotta take in account to each team and how you can push them individually, emotionally, whatever you got to do to push them, and team wise as well. So you might push a team different than you did the year before, or push a team different 10 years ago, right? I think when it all comes down to it is, as long as you still have the same blueprint, like I'm saying, if I still have the same blueprint of what got me here, of making others better and coming out better when they first got here, I think we're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, another one I'll just kind of throw out. Whoever wants to take this one can. Especially the way the transfer market is these days. When you get an athlete coming in who may be coming either as a grad transfer or even just a regular transfer, and it's been exposed to different training methods. How do you go about implementing those in your program? What are your thoughts on that? Just when they come in, maybe it's even a high school kid who had a solid strength and conditioning program at the high school level.
I think if they come in, and obviously they come in and they start talking to me about different programming, a different, like, it could be anything. It could be cluster sets. It could just say hey, we did this at this school, or this at this school. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna say, okay, tell me why you liked it. Let's go dive into this deeper, right? And if it makes them better, if it help them play, then let's do it. I'm all for it, because if it's not broke, I ain't fixing it. Let's get it done.
So I'm pretty similar. Once I figure out what they do, I have my fundamental core patterns that I believe in. I'll apply that to whatever philosophy is out there. But I think for us, it's about having tools in the toolbox and being more versatile to provide the kids what they need and not what we want them to do. And I think that makes it a whole lot better. So long as it isn't anything crazy, like, I'm fine with rolling with it and slowly implementing my stuff in over time. But like I said, that's a great point. If it isn't broken, don't fix it,
And
Okay.
and let's not get it twisted. If they come in here and they're like, all I did was biceps and triceps, they're going to have a long year with me. Just
Yeah,
like,
you are. I don't squat, coach.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not.
You
It's
go to
none of
deadlift then?
Yeah.
What and we'll go. What are you guys doing these days to get better? Obviously, with the whole quarantine situation, COVID-19, there's been a ton of continuing education stuff going on. What are you guys doing to make yourselves better, help your student athletes?
Yeah, Mike.
I think stuff like this, to be honest. I mean, I've been around for not a long time, but a while, and I've learned no matter what conference you go to, what book you read, the most educational experience of sitting out talking to people who do stuff. Like everybody wants to read triphasic. Well, maybe you should try just giving Cal Dietz a call. maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's something that wasn't in that book that makes it glow, that makes it go. So if I read a book or I find something, I try to find an expert in the field to talk to them. I did something last week, and I was telling people, like, over my career, what I've done study-wise is I've always tried to take one topic per year. So like last year, I studied energy system development. And you got Steve. When I saw Steve when we played them, first thing I asked is, "What do y'all do for conditioning?" And I was like, "Well, what do y'all do? Like, how do you go about it?" Like, I think you have to have the practical side to it and the other side to it. I think that's super, super important.
Okay. Yeah, I think talking to coaches, it's life experiences, man. If I go in and I see Coach Snowden and I watch you train and I ask, why do you do it like this, right? I'm watching you coach, and you can explain that to me, and we can talk and we can educate each other, and I can get like different, coaching cues from you and from Coach Chatman, but I'm going to be there. I want to go there, right? And I'm not saying I don't read books. I read books. I'm not saying I don't listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts, but I think if I'm a young strength coach listening to this right now, I'm calling up people and I'm saying, can I come watch you coach? I want to see what you do. I want to see how you run your program. You only have an hour to get this much stuff done. How do you do it? How do you get the flow so good? And how do you get the flow to just the players to buy in? How do you do it, right? And I think when young coaches come in here and watch, I thought you were going to be, like yelling all the time. And I was like, man, listen, we have fun. And I think that's what the thing is. We're going to have fun in here. And I don't mean fun like, hey, you don't have to lift. Like, we want to break PRs, and that's fun, right? Winning's fun. Breaking PRs is fun, right? Getting bigger is fun. Taking your shirt off in the weight room, and, all the guys are like, man, how did this freshman get so big? That's fun to me. That's fun to watch all that happen, right? And I think if they enjoy coming in the weight room, then you did your job, because they're going to get bigger, stronger, and faster, because they're going to be in the weight room more. It's not rocket science.
Absolutely. Now that was on the personal side. Let's talk from an industry side. The strength conditioning field. What I would say, what are your thoughts on the direction of it? What can we do to be better? Obviously, there's a lot going on right now, but just want to kind of leave that open a little bit. You guys can take it any way you want to.
Yeah, I think the industry is doing good as a whole. I do think that we're getting coaches that don't know the art sometimes of coaching. They know the science and the numbers that goes along with it. And they're like, oh, look at these KPIs. I got all these. Look at these numbers. And I'm like, what's the KPI of the man's heart out there? That's what I want to know. I want to know there's 2 minutes left. Does he really want to win? Is he a grinder? Like, and I think it's funny. I got stories on it. They're like, oh, that person won't win because the lactate levels, and I'm like, I know that person's gonna win.
Yeah.
He got dog in him.
Yeah.
He does not want to lose. Okay. He is a winner. Okay. I don't care if his body feels like it's breaking down. He is gonna win. And sure enough, he won. And I don't understand. I had all the numbers, and I'm like, did you check his heart? Yeah, we checked his blood. No. Did you check what was inside his heart? Did you get to know the person? Did you get to know the athlete? Because I knew he was gonna win. How'd you know? Because I'm with him every single day, and he hates to lose. He hates to lose in anything. And I think, not saying science is bad, I'm all for it, but let's use them KPIs, and let's use it for the right purposes and data. Just not collect just not to collect it. What you doing? I'm collecting a whole bunch of numbers for what? I don't know. It makes me look good, right?
Yeah,
I'm
last couple years.
Exactly. I'm not collecting data unless it's helping every one of my guys. I'm not collecting the data unless every one of my guys knows, hey, Steve, why are you doing this? I'm gonna let them know, hey, this is why I'm doing it, right? And if they say, Coach, do you really think that helps? I might say no, and I might toss it, right? You know, but I never tossed it yet, thank God, not one yet. But everyone I talk to them about, they're like, yeah, okay, I understand how this works. So as a whole, I just think we got to start the art of coaching. It's difficult to learn, all right?
Yeah.
If you don't know it and you just know science, get with your players, man. Love them up. Know about them. Know who their mom's name is, their dad's name is, their brothers and sisters, okay? Know where they like to go. You ever ask them where their favorite vacation spot was? You ever ask them what their favorite food was? I don't know. Some people just come in and just want to lift them and leave. Get to know your athletes 100%. Get them to love you, and you love them. The rest is history. Be great.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You know, it's always said, programming is a science, coaching is an art. But and that stuck with me my entire career. And I've been places where I've had people see like really fancy programs and people just come in and train. And I've been places where I've seen super simple programs and the guys be into it, and they are like working. And I'll say this time and time again, and you put it on my tombstone. Nothing in the world is ever going to ever be hard work and consistency, right? And nothing in the world is ever going to be an environment where guys want to train. We just won't ever beat it. I think that's crazy important. But, you know, as our field is going, some of the things that my thoughts are, like, I think, you know, Steve's a director of Olympic sports over there, correct?
Correct.
And I was a director, associate AD at Towson. And one of the things that concerns me a bit is, you know, as you go upper administration, a lot of people who are running strength conditioning are not people who have strength conditioning experience. And so they're making decisions for us and they don't really understand what we do or how we do it, but off in their mind, what makes logical sense to them. And I can tell you, and we can all say, unless you ever ran a team or ran a weight room, there's no logical, like, you can't figure it out until you actually do it. You know, like, yeah, and if I was going to do that, like, think about when you're an intern, I'm going to do this, and this. This thing you trust people, like, oh, wow, that didn't work at all. And, like, they're doing the same thing. And I think it's a really important that as time goes on, as we get older and we get out of the weight room, that we find guys who move up into administration, up the ranks. So now they can make solid decisions for the younger guys coming down through. And the ones of us who are in our positions right now be great representatives of our field and what we do. So now when we speak, administration listens and we have an ear so we can get things done more efficiently and more effectively for our field and our group of athletes. And that's kind of, I think, something that we need to work on as a whole. And that's everybody. You know, everybody picks on people who do this and that. That doesn't help us at all.
Yep.
You know, like, let's focus on what everybody's good at. How can I build you up? Right? You know, like if we're a family and a brotherhood and a fraternity, and if I have a problem, like, let me call you and have a conversation with you, right? Let's be united front on Twitter, not be, you know, this fake Twitter beef where everybody has an opinion of what they do. Like, yo, chat, you don't say anything on Twitter. I know, I'm too concerned in my weight room. What about what you're doing in your weight room? You know what I'm saying? I want to get things good in here. What you do over there is your business, but in here, I take care of my house. And I think that's something that we can all get better at personally.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said about, hey Steve, you gonna do anything on Instagram? I'm like, I'm coaching. Maybe I do need to get an intern that just does social media. I don't know, but I don't have time for it. If I do it, it's probably one-on-one, and, you know, probably somebody doing some curls or something. I don't know.
Now, do you guys? I feel like I've seen you guys both. Do you guys put out much on there with the athletes on social media and that? Or is that not something you haven't really done? And if so, is there a reason why?
Honest to God, Coach, I literally got on in January and I never posted anything. And then I started sending workouts when they were when they were home, right? Because they're like, Coach, you got anything for me? I'm bored. I'm like, yeah, here you go. Do some push-ups, you know, some body weight squats, curtsy squats, blah, blah, whatever. And then they're like, my phone kept going over the capacity because I kept sending, so much more stuff. Finally, I was like, I'm just going to start putting it on Instagram. And
Gotcha.
man, I was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. Social media. Only problem is sometimes when you're just sitting there, you look at it too much. You gotta learn to throw that thing away.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I put stuff up all the time, but I think people may not understand my thought process on how I got there. When I went to Southern Miss, I took over a team that had like 4 strength coaches in like 3 years. So like getting buy-in with those dudes at the beginning was hard. You're trying to show you love me, but they're like, yo, you're gonna be gone in 2 weeks either way anyway, so just give me stuff out of the way. So I started posting them on IG. And they were like, oh, they got into it. And like, yo, Chat, let me do it. Like, look at it like, oh, you're gonna do it perfectly because you're on Instagram? Perfect. Sure. All right. So like, I got into it a little bit there because, with the guys, my last 2 spots, like the guys at Towson enjoyed it too. Like they enjoy attention, man. And anything that engages them is great. It's not about, you don't see me on there, but anything that engages them is great for me.
I think it's the generation. They love the social media. They love it, man. It's a part of them. It's a part of them. Like me, it was Mike Tyson's Punch Out on Nintendo, best game ever, right? So, but them, it's social media, man. It's that,
They love it, man. You got to. I always say you got to kind of meet them where they are, man. So it's a piece we don't do a bunch of, but I think they definitely get hyped up. Even like I remember there used to be times, I won't say it was like a couple years ago, but I won't say who it was, but like I would just pull my phone out and not even record it, and it would be like the best set of the day.
I've done that
just
too,
because
man.
dudes thought that they were getting recorded. Yeah, so and it would be like it was a completely different set. So it was crazy, man. It's a powerful tool, but I think there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good stuff out there. But then you also got the same guys who want to argue about everything. So
I love it, man.
There's more than one way to get it done. So
no question. There's a lot of different ways to get it done. 100%.
What for the young coach getting in the field and trying to move up, working their way up, what advice would you have for them kind of in today's market for strength and conditioning coaches?
You got to learn to work. I think when you get interns or GAs, whatever you have at your institution, I think when I start teaching them how to stock the muscle milk, how to bring the old muscle milk up and the new muscle milk in the back, and how to stock the bars and how to clean properly and all that. I won't forget I had a lot of young coaches say, "Coach, I got my degree." I'm like, "Yeah, but do you know how to do this?" They're like, "Oh, what do you mean?" I was like, so if you don't know how to stock muscle milk or pull the new old ones in from the back to the front, you're going to have expired muscle milk. That's a lot of money you wasting. I said, your players could get sick, and how are you going to teach your interns to do it if you don't know how to do it? I said, bars, I mean, you don't even know how to stock bars? I said, or how to clean properly? What if somebody gets in here and you don't clean the pedal of the bike and somebody scratched their leg on it and gets MRSA from that? I said, it's everything you got to think about in here of how we clean and how we do it correctly. Because if you don't know how to do it, if you don't start from the bottom, then how are you going to know when you get to the top? And what happens is if you don't know how to do it and you get to the top by some, godly reason, awesome reason, you get to the top and you never done that. Well, guess what? Now I hope you had other jobs to help you for that, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. They come out, I'm ready to be the coach right now. I'm like, whoa, slow down, man. Slow down. Let's what you gonna do today? Well, I read this 4x12 for squats. Right? They got to practice pretty soon, right? You're like, no, slow it down, man. Let me show you how to coach, right? And when you come in and the guys don't know you, and then you try and say, and the interns try and say something to them, and the guys just look at them like, you're like, it's over. It's over. Yeah. You should have never said that. You should have just waited to get to know them. That's it. So I think that's the biggest thing. Just listen. It might not feel like it's worth it then while you're doing all that stuff, but I promise you, in the long run, my goodness, it's going to help you. It is going to help you leaps and bounds. I cannot tell you how much Tommy Heffernan helped me to be a director like I am right now. I mean, my goodness, he worked me now. He worked me, but man, I'm all for him, man. So did Kurt Hester, man. He had me painting and cutting wood for platforms, and I can build a platform right now if I needed to. But I think the biggest thing is like they worked me and they said, this is how it's done. There's no shortcuts. And I think I can't applaud them for that. Plus having a twin brother is kind of a competition. So
y'all were down there at the same time?
At Kurtz, yes. At Kurtz, yes. And then when I got the Hawaii job, he went back to Kurtz as the assistant.
Okay.
Because he went to UNO and then back to Kurt.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, that work piece is real. It's real. I spent more of my career stacking boxes and putting stuff together and sweeping floors than I have been in charge. So when you look at these logos, you look at this stuff, man, like I'm more used to the intern life than I'm being in charge. And I think that it's so important that you never get away from what got you there. And as an intern, the biggest compliment I ever got that I didn't even realize was compliments, I was a sponge. You couldn't teach me enough. Like, they were like, why aren't you talking? Because you're talking, I'm trying to learn. And I do that now. Like, I just want to learn. Like, I don't think I have it figured out by any means, but I'm always looking to learn. I'm always asking questions. I mean, I have no problem asking a question. I don't care if I sound dumb to you. I'm just trying to get smart. And so I think that's so important that we humble ourselves. And as young coaches, you come in and you say, I'm coming here and I want to be open and I want to learn. And I'm going to work. And whatever you do, I'm going to do. If you ask anybody I've ever worked for, when they moved right, I moved right. When they moved left, I moved left. And I'm from Baton Rouge, so in my house, my mom who grew up she always said, if I'm working, you working. So if she was sweeping and I was on the couch, no, I was sweeping too. And so that's how I was brought up. And so but what you realize, what Steve said, you're being prepared. You think you're doing someone's job, but you are being groomed and prepared to step into it. So when I stepped into my position at Towson when I was in charge, even though I had never been in charge before, I had done so much stuff. It was easy. I had done everything to be ready. Now the decisions just had more weight on them. When I get to Stanford and people look at the logo, I'm doing the same thing I was doing at Southern University in the SWAC or Southeastern in the Southland, but now it has a little bit more thump behind it because of the logo, which means nothing at all. But what'd you say?
I said, it's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't it, right? And I love leadership, and I've always thought this: your best leaders were your best followers because they learned and they stayed behind them. Like good Indians make great chiefs.
Love it. I'm telling you, I got a vacuum in my office right now because I was just vacuuming the whole weight room, and I think one of the tests I do for my interns, and there's 3 of them that passed in the past couple of years, 4 actually. And what I did was say, hey, this is going to be your home because you're probably going to be here more than your home, just like I am, right? If you really want this, let's see. So as soon as I get in, take some 10s and 5s and just put them on the ground, see how they assess the weight room as soon as they walk in. Everyone that came in and picked up those are at either a GA or full-time person right now. Can you believe that? Every one of them that came in, assessed the weight room and said, boom, boom, boom. Hey, coach, I just didn't want to let you know this was on the floor. I was like, I appreciate it, man. I didn't even tell them I threw it on until they were leaving. I was like, I threw all that weight on the ground for you because I wanted to see if you're going to come clean it up and if you saw it, right? And funny thing is, every one of those guys are either at a full-time job or at making, getting their master's for free. So I think that's the biggest thing is like work, man, work. Love the grind. Is I enjoyed the hell out of it. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it makes a difference, man. It's funny you say that. Just the detail. I interned for Drew Wilson out there with you guys now. Back when he was at Maryland.
Okay.
And it was the same thing, man. Learned so much from him, just like a organization standpoint, and just kind of how you keep your program sharp, man. That dude taught me so much from him. And yeah, he worked me too, man. You look back on it sometimes, you're like, damn.
Maybe that's why me and Drew are good friends, man, because, as soon as we just, he hired one of my interns as a full-time guy. He's like, can he work? I'm like, man, not only does he work, like it was my former intern, Didi Goodson, played football here and then intern for me. And I said, he's way above like any other person at his age right now, because how he works, his detail, and he's very detailed. And I said, and the players love him. I said, he has the art and he's learning the science. I said, if you want somebody like that, I would hire him. And sure enough, hired him just like that. And probably one of his best assistants right now.
But that's it right there, Steve. It's like, if you can work, I can teach you what you need to know.
100%. If you don't,
it's
if
hard
you can,
I can't teach a work ethic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I need you to come and work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I have to clean the closet. I'm like, well, yeah, man. Like, my goodness. Unless you want to come do the paperwork. If you know how to do the paperwork, I clean that closet. Because I don't want to do this paperwork.
Big fact. There's nothing worse than paperwork.
No, nothing worse.
Nothing worse.
I do not want, after I lift, man, I do not want to come in here right afterwards and do paperwork and fill out all the paperwork for all the other assistants that are under me. I would love to go out there and just clean that closet, make everything look really nice, rather than the paperwork. I'm telling you, it's, whew. And like, that's what I'm trying to tell them. They're like, oh, I do the paperwork, and I come in and show them. They're like, I'm gonna go clean. I'm like, that's what I thought. You don't want to. This is boring. And I won't forget Tommy showing me that. I was like, teach me how to do the paperwork. No, you don't want it. Not right now, Steve. Just trust me, man. And sure enough, I'm like, never mind. I don't want to do it. I'll stock anything you want. Just don't put me in front of this computer right now.
I had the same thing, man, with like when you're building out the schedules, like sitting there looking at class schedules and class times, tutor times, like.
Listen, you have 2 computers open, 2 iPhones. You're like, holy crap, I got to call so many. Yeah. It is, man, that's a puzzle for you right there. Big time puzzle. It's a
most stressful part of the job. Like when I got the job at Stanford, like, what's your favorite part of being at Stanford? Not doing scheduling at Towson.
Now, we kind of talked about internship for a while. Kind of talk about, I guess, you volunteered. Do you guys have an internship program set up? Or I know some places more hands-on, some places, the curriculum and all that. I think obviously you bring coaches in, and oftentimes you're not paying them, so you need to give them an experience for one, but also an education and getting their feet wet when it comes to training athletes. You guys talk about kind of what you do with your programs and the volunteers, interns you have. Maybe it's paid internship or whatever. But
we have a non-paid internship, but I tell you what, every one of the guys that came in or ladies that came in, they got a job, right, or a GA job, one or the other. They got paid somehow, right? I had great female. She's at Florida State now, KJ. Oh my goodness, she was great. She was with me for like 4 months, 5 months. I won't forget. At least had a job open. I was like, you need to get her. And she, interviewed her and texted me 3 months later and was like, wow, you can't teach work ethic, and she had it, right? You can, and I think that's what that's the internship, right? You come in. And we have a couple different levels. Level 1, you don't have nothing. You don't have a CSCS. You don't know how to train. You don't know how to coach. I'm like, for the first 2 weeks, don't just, be friendly to the guys, be friendly to the female athletes, but, don't listen, observe, write down, take some notes. Then I want to get you to learn how to start, learning the lifts. And then, hey, maybe I throw them hey, try and do some abs, right? And, trying to get them coaching. But in the meantime, we have to teach them how to pass the CSCS or the CSCCA, and we usually do Jeopardy put it on the Apple TV and play Jeopardy. And that can be like, if you miss it, 5 push-ups. It can be fun, Not cool. Saying it's not
That's a great idea.
Hold on, I just want to let everybody know I'm not punishing nobody for missing it. Everybody signs up. I even do push-ups when I miss. Okay, but it makes it fun for us. And then there's level 2. You have your CSCS, and now you don't have to study so much, and then you have a knowledge of training, and then, we get to throw you some teams and help out with golf, lacrosse, men's basketball, women's basketball, all the teams here. And then there's level 3, like, hey, you ready to go? Let's see if I observe you while, coaching men's golf, women's golf, whatever other teams are out there. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then give them some pointers on it. And then those people usually flourish and they do a great job, but really easy. 3 levels. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about interns, I'll just say, like, without Courtney Steele and Evan Martin and Stephen Yarkman and Taylor Ford, like my program doesn't go. The people who work with me, don't work for me, work with me. I mean, I am as all over the place as you could possibly be because I have so much stuff on my mind. Like I want to train like all these different ways, and when they come in, I make sure the first week before we get started, we do like a one-on-one session where they learn how I want them to coach, where I want them to stand, all that stuff, and then I throw them to the wolves, and I'm like, hey, like well, if I got somebody new like Steve has, I'll make them sit out for 2 weeks as well. But if they have some experience, I'm gonna throw them to the wolves. I get them out there coaching a little bit, and I just, hey, like until you get comfortable, just use the cues I'm using. We went through the one-on-one stuff about how that stuff works, and I think it's really important that when we train our interns that they're getting that quality experience. So there are times when they'll come in with me, and I'll be like, "Yep, you got the warm up," and they have no idea. Like, oh, there you go. And I just leave you, let you go and fly, because that's how it goes sometimes. Like, hey, you got the one of the guys, but you can't use the turf room. They're like, this is what the job is. And so really try to give them that real world experience. And then what I do, I have like Stanford has an overall curriculum, and I have a curriculum within basketball where we hit like how to coach, 3D movement, fascial stuff, speed, strength, all those little things, periodization. And every week as they go through a week of the protocol, at the end of the 12 weeks or however long it is, when they look at, they have the portfolio for their first interview. And so it's kind of helping them build themselves up, and also, finding little ways to really challenge their thought. One of my favorite exercises with interns is like, let's say you get a kid that's hardcore into powerlifting. Write me a 2-paragraph essay why powerlifting is awful. It's such a learning experience to switch it around and think about, like when I had to write my first thing about why Olympic lifting was bad, I was like, this is blasphemous. but it really opens up your eyes and your thought processes to where you can look at something from a different standpoint. And that really helps you do one thing, helps you figure out you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Or two, it helps really solidify, I believe in this. Yeah. And that's super powerful either way, because either one of them solidify you, make you a better coach.
True.
I'll throw this out there too, kind of technology in the weight room. What are you guys using? I would say maybe not even from like a full technology. Let's say, you may or may not have some sort of technology you love. Well, how are you using that? But then also, knowing everybody listening to this may not have the resources to have the Cadillac. What are some of the other things you use in your weight room? I guess, how you monitor your athletes day to day. You want to touch on something like that? High tech, maybe some low tech?
Yeah, I mean, I use force plate probably around 3 times a week. We have the Nord board, the force frame, which we test all our athletes as soon as they get here. We have VBT systems here that we use mostly in season, to be, honest. But it helps us make the right decisions for our athletes. Like I said, I'm not going to use any data that I don't think is going to help our athletes, right? And I think the biggest thing is the data we do use, we can, educate the coaches as well as our athletes to let them know, like, hey, we need to build your asymmetry is off. This is what we need to do to help you out, for your career, to have longevity, right? Because let's be honest, everybody that's coming to every one of these universities, they want to go to the next level. Every one of these guys I talk to, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. How can we help them fulfill their dream? I'm doing my dream right now. I never had the force plate my whole career. I never had the Nord board, the force frame. I didn't have any of that, right? So there's a couple ways that if you don't have, hey, Steve, if you didn't have, what would you do? 12-inch, 18-inch depth jump on a jump mat. You don't have a jump mat, just use the vertical stick, right? And the Vertec, you can do it those ways, right? There's so much out there that, how you know if you're ready? Well, a couple years ago, they had the little on the little iPhone. I'm like, man, listen, how do you know you're ready? You're either ready or you're not ready. Like, right? Don't worry, I'm gonna get your heart rate up. But I'm like, if you come up to me and be like, how do you know if you're ready? You ain't ready? There you go. I just answered it for you, right? So I think, like I said, y'all know this. There's so much technology out there right now that you have to put a filter on it. Because if you don't, you're not coaching no more. You're not coaching no more. You're worried about all this data points. You got to put a filter on the data and the technology you want to use, right? Because if you try and start using everything, it's gonna you won't be able to coach no more, because you're gonna be sitting on the computer just looking at numbers that probably doesn't care, because those guys are going to be balling the whole day tomorrow, today, tomorrow, all year, right? So I think, if you're going to use technology, use it for your team. Don't use it for anybody else's team, because their team could be different for your team, right? They might already have guys that can jump out the gym, that are super long, already built. They're 5-star athletes, right? That's why they're a 5-star athlete. They can hoop and they're big. They're ready to come in and play already. Now, some of us don't get 5-star athletes, right? What do? Nope. You gotta build them up for a 5-star athlete, right? Make them realize that they're gonna get there and fulfill their dream, right? And that's why we're here. All the data points in the world, that's why coaches are here, to help them fulfill their dreams. 100%. That's it.
I agree. I'm not huge into technology. It's something I've been working on for the last 2 years. This is the year I've really delved into it a little bit more, just because I have Connects on now. And I have I've never had force plates, and I've never had VBT stuff before, but I grew up in a weightlifting gym. So when the bars are moving fast, I know what bar speed looks like. I guarantee you that. You watch the Olympian clean 275, that's bar speed. I know when I turn around, I hear them squatting that bar, those weights hit the top of the bar and click, they're moving that bar pretty fast. Certain things that you get a feel for being in the weight room that you have. But there's some value to having something when they say, if you're not assessing, you're guessing. And if you use it as checkpoints, to use it as checkpoints to drive your training, that's different. But it shouldn't be controlling your training. It's just a checkpoint to say, when I did X, Y, and Z, did it give me what I was trying to accomplish with X, Y, and Z? But it's not going to tell me what to do. So that's the one thing I've really been struggling with my own journey, is I see so many people with technology and what they're doing. I'm like, how many people with this technology are winning games because of technology? And to this date that I found, 0. So it's about players and getting them better. And, there's some value to having a Connects on our catapult to measure player load. But what's even better? Hey, how do you feel today? How did they actually feel? Coach, what was today? You thought today was going to be an 8. The guys thought it was a 12 out of 10. And sometimes those little bitty things, and now the system may give you the fine, acute details to tell me why they felt that way. But there's so much more I think you can get from interpersonal communication like that, in my opinion. Not saying that's right or wrong, but that's where I stand with technology. And if I'm going to use it, we're going to use it all the time. We're not going to use it one time and then use it once a year. If we're going to do something, I want to know at every point, am I getting what I want from it? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And if anybody wants to know what I do for force plates or, Nord board, just email me. Whoever's watching this, I can elaborate more on that.
Hey, appreciate you guys' time. I want to kind of be respectful of that, but with everything going on, the COVID-19 situation, how are you guys approaching the return to training and get guys acclimated to the environment and the training loads again? You guys want to talk about that for a minute?
Getting guys back. Just, biggest thing is educating them on what this virus, can do and how you catch it. Next thing is you got to bring them back slow. Just, and I always say this, just think you never lifted in 3 months, right? They didn't have weights. All they had was 10-pound dumbbells and a weighted vest to do push-ups with. If you get underneath the bar and you're telling me you don't lift for 3 months and you're not getting sore, I'm going to call you a liar, and I'm going to say you never lifted straight up. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Like, if you haven't lifted in 3 months and you're telling me you're going to go underneath that bar and you're going to start lifting, and you're just gonna go what you normally did. What it could be 5-3 big and boring, right? You telling me you're gonna go 5 sets of 10, man, you ain't gonna be able to move the next day. What are you talking about? So I think the biggest thing is just, doing it slowly, man. Getting, again, I'm always gonna go back to this. How do you feel? If I was coaching Mike and I was coaching Coach Snowden, Coach Chatman and Coach Snowden, I can easily say, how you feel? Well, hey, coach, I had a bar in my basement. All right, cool. Let's do an extra couple sets. Coach Chatman could be like, man, I had a weighted vest and push-ups. Well, let's just stay, all right, because I want to see how you feel the next day. Next day they come in, how do you feel? Okay. Then you can adjust the program for the following week. And I think that's the biggest thing. Communication with your athletes and just educating them on why we're not going so hard so fast. Because I know today they were like, some of them are like, that's it, coach, can I do another set? And some of them are like, I can't go no more. And it was only third set. So I think that's when you got to step back and you got to say, okay, we got to do this smart. I don't want no rhabdo. I don't want to put guys in the hospital. We got to do this smart. And I think just do it smart, man. Just like we're doing right now, talking. Like what you do today, 3 sets of 10, super lightweight, great form. That's what we did. And it was upper body.
Yeah.
A couple sets.
I mean,
same thing. We had our first day today too. I told him, I said, look, we ain't gonna hit no PRs today, man. Let's just make it feel like you're back on campus. You know what I mean?
I know one of my buddies was like, Steve, did you get him? And I was like, no, man, no, not today. Like, you know how easy it would have been to do that? They would have been like putting their hand this high, like they couldn't do it, or they wouldn't be able to walk the next day. It's not worth it because don't forget, still need them to play basketball. Still need them to shoot.
My bad, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
Oh no, that was funny, y'all. I like listening. I told you I don't mind soaking this up, But yeah, I mean, in my standpoint, like you said, like slow and easy is the way to win the race. Take your time, progress. Provide a ton of movement variability early, and the big thing for me, everybody's kind of back in there talking about the guys aren't going to be strong. I'm like, forget strong. I'm thinking about tissue and tendon tolerance to deal with the loads about to deal with on the court. So I could care less take a squat 400 pounds if the Achilles is about to pop on them because we haven't repaired tissue and tendons properly. So managing tissue tendons properly, making sure that we've given them the correct amount of work capacity work with the right dosages. I love the EDT stuff, like low level EDT stuff, 5 minutes, 2 and 2 here or there, with some low load, just keep them moving. So now they're getting muscular stimulus and aerobic stimulus at the same time. So kind of double dipping, really functionally dense. Those things really, really make a big difference, man. I mean, right now, deceleration is something they haven't done in a long time. And deceleration in the drill and deceleration in the drill 1v1 is going to be totally different because now competition is involved. So if you aren't preparing them for that on the flip side, you're going to have some issues. But that's kind of my deal. I'm going to start with tissue tendon tolerance, aerobic capacity, and then build some deceleration stuff and work there from the ground up.
All of them want to come day one and say, I'm going to use the Vertimax. I'm like, sure. I know you want to dunk 12 foot, but let's just relax on that. Give me a couple weeks, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, man, so I'm going to try to wrap things up. You guys, anything else left unsaid you guys want to put out there or saved alibis or what you got?
Man, this was awesome, man. I think we need to do this more often, for real. I think this is the best way to help, to educate. Shoot, I learned some stuff today. I mean, I'm always learning. I'm like, okay, that's what Mike does. Got it.
Same.
Yeah, I think it's just, just want to keep everybody healthy with COVID-19, man. I think just bringing them back and when I say educating them, I know we're all young once. They think they're invincible. They think that nothing can happen to me, right? And I think it's just thinking about others, man. Just think about others while this is going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I got nothing else to add to that. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to be on this deal. And I mean, if anybody's looking for the model of how to learn and get better, I think this is it right now. 3 guys talking with 3 completely different backgrounds. Well, man, Steve's background might be a little more similar than people know. Louisiana has a lot of strict coaches down there. But, like just talking and learning, shopping, and like learning how to talk and listen for understanding, not to be right. That's the one thing. Like, learn to really talk and listen to what people are saying, and don't look to poke a hole in it. Listen to really understand, and you really get a whole lot out of it. You know, I think today was good for me.
Hey, Mike, you know, when you first came and I was showing you the weight room, one of the coaches was like, hold up, he went to Southeastern too? I was like, yeah. And he's like, how the heck did two people from Louisiana get to Stanford and Colorado? I said, hard work.
Pretty much.
I mean, I'm like, I don't know. It's just hard work, man. Just grind it, man. That's what it was, man.
Head down and grind.
Yeah.
Takes what it takes, man. Nah, this has been awesome, man. I appreciate both of you guys making time to get on here and talk shop.
No doubt. I appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you, Coach Chatman, Coach Snowden. I really do.
All right, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Y'all too. Take care. Be safe, man.
Yes, sir. Same to you. See ya.